Thank you for staying with us. As tensions rise across West Africa's diplomatic and migrant communities, the federal government is calling for calm amid reports of the alleged deportation of Nigerians from Ghana. For many affected Nigerians, the reported eviction means more than relocation. It disrupts livelihood, separates families, and raises questions about the safety and dignity of citizens living abroad. In response, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs says it has begun diplomatic engagement with Ghanaian authorities to verify the situation and ensure that Nigerian citizens are not subjected to unlawful treatment. The Nigerian High Commission in Accra has been directed to provide urgent consular support and gather verified reports from those affected while investigations continue. The government is urging Nigerians in Ghana to remain peaceful and law-abiding while reaffirming Nigeria's commitment to protecting the rights and welfare of its people. But joining us for this conversation is a UK immigration solicitor, Olufemi Aina. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
It's good to have you join us.
Yes, thank you.
Interesting. The last time we had a major issue with Ghana, something of this manner, was 42 years ago, as in 1983, where the administration of Shehu Shagari, President Shehu Shagari at the time, deported undocumented immigrants in the country back to their country, talking about Ghanaians. That was when we had the Ghana must go issue. And here we are, 42 years down the line. We are facing almost a similar situation. And this time it is Nigerians must go because of so many issues, according to them. But can the events of the past influence what we are seeing diplomatically, the posture, especially the posture of both countries regarding this issue?
Well, I don't think you can rule it out. And what happened in the 80s, I can't call it deportation in the real sense of it. What actually happened, we asked all the Ghanaians to leave, okay? And then that caused all sorts of hue and cry here and there. Maybe this is a payback time. I don't know. That's why these people are protesting. Who knows? But prior to that, you see, you need to put things in an historical context. And not to know what happened before you were born is to remain a child, according to Cicero. Now, the point is this. Even in 1969, the Ghanaian government, as at that time, said, at a point there was economic prosperity in Ghana. That was during the Gold Coast era. And then in 1969, they came up with this law and said all the aliens must leave. And that caused all sorts of nonsense. Then Nigeria, maybe in 1983, that was the reason behind the Ghana must go episode. But the protesters here, they are asking for mass deportation, that all Nigerians must go. You see, for mass deportation to happen, you need a legislative backing. Because if you don't do that, your action might be very unlawful. Let's look at it legally. Number one, Ghana is a member of the ECOWAS. And in 1975, Ghana signed the ECOWAS Treaty. In 1993, they ratified that treaty. And if you look, what was the essence of that treaty? To ensure economic development and social integration, and free movement of goods and services and citizens. And even Article 3 of that economic treaty actually imposes an obligation on member countries to make sure they abide by the spirit of the treaty.
That's right.
Now, if you are signing a treaty, as you know, it's an agreement between states. If you are signing a treaty and you have a reservation that, look, we don't want to be part of this, that is why there's an opt-out clause. And I'll give you an example. During the Schengen agreement within the European countries, the essence of the Schengen agreement is that there should be free movement within the member states. But the United Kingdom said, no, when it comes to immigration, we want to take control of our border. That's why if you get a France visa, you cannot use it to enter UK. You cannot, because they said, we don't want to be part of that. Now, if the Ghanaians said, okay, we don't want migrants or Nigerians or whatever in our country. Then they've had the opportunity to do that in 1975. They've had the opportunity to do that in 1993. And all these issues, they are talking about prostitution, this and that, and what have you. There is no country without a social problem. And what you need to do is how you address those social problems. I appreciate the fact that international migration and international crime goes hand in hand. If you get to some countries, they don't know anything about 419. But because citizens of certain countries are moving into that, they introduce it. So you can't rule it out. But what you do, you must try and strengthen institutions. Make sure your legal system works to address all these problems. And now they are saying Nigerians are doing this and doing that. Now, that is a fair comment. But the issue is this. Give us the statistics. How many Nigerians have been arrested? How many are in prison? How many are awaiting trial? So that we know Nigerians are the people behind this. Exactly. And also, it is not even impossible. Because we have a porous border, the way we issue our passport is not really rigid enough. It is not impossible for some of these criminals not to be Nigerian. I can tell you that. Because even when the war was going on in Liberia, Sierra Leone, there are quite a few Nigerians claiming to be citizens of that country so that they can get a refugee status abroad. So, you see, these are the issues. And our government today seems to be promising, okay, don't do this, don't do that. And I must let you know before you come in, Nigerians are facing hostility here and there. In South Africa, in Ghana, United Arab Emirates, then American embassy saying this, saying that. So at a point, government needs to sit down. And our parliament too needs to sit down and say, look, how are we going to address all these issues? Because something is, and protect, because citizenship connects certain rights. Yes. And if there is war, your government come in and they evacuate you as a citizen of that country. So those are the rights as a citizen. Even if you go abroad under the Vienna Convention, you are, let's say you arrive in UK now, you have problem, you are arrested by the police. Under the Vienna Convention, the first thing they need to do is to contact your embassy. Welfare officer, so that they can give you what they call consular assistance. And from your intro, you said they said the Nigeria Commission in Ghana should give consular support in case people are threatened.
These xenophobic feelings coming from Ghana, it's quite dangerous. And I am wondering why the Nigerian Senate is taking this very calm approach. I understand it's a serious diplomatic issue because we have lots of Ghanaians in Nigeria as we speak, and a whole lot of Nigerians in Ghana too. And one of the things we're trying to run away from is reprisals, you know. So would you advise the Nigerian government to take the stance of diplomacy only, or are there other avenues that the Nigerian government can explore to ensure that this thing dies down? Well,
I understand where you are coming from, because you need to be very careful not to pour petrol on the fire. Yes. Because if you are not careful, things can get out of hand and spiral out of control. Yes. But, you know, if Nigerian government, nobody is saying Nigerian government should take a retaliatory measures. But if the government fails to intervene, citizens will intervene. Because when Nigerians were being attacked in South Africa, you know, some people, they were trying to protest or attack their economic interests in the country who are citizens. That's why the government saying don't do this, don't do that. So what our Senate should do, you see, the issue goes beyond diplomacy. I must be sincere, though that's part of the menu. But it goes beyond that. We need to even look internally at our system. That, look, one, what is causing people to migrate? That's another issue. Is it because of the economic problems we have in the country, or is it because of lack of opportunity? Because I must say this to you, if you don't give your citizens opportunity, they will migrate to where they can get that opportunity. And I must also emphasize that if any nations all over the world, if you fail to create a legal route for people to migrate, illegal immigration is what will suffice. Okay? And if you look at immigrants now, apart from let's leave the Ghana incident now. They are facing a lot of hostilities everywhere. Even in the United Kingdom, in the last few weeks, people have been protesting against refugees, that we don't want refugees in our community. They are staying in the hotel, they are doing this. Now, even in Spain, the Spanish citizens, the citizens are protesting that we don't want the British to come here for holiday again because they get engaged in unnecessary Europe culture, getting drunk, this and that. Even when you go to Germany, it's the same thing because of an incident that happened. So hostilities against migrants is going around the world, okay? And what is happening in Ghana is an extension of that. But nations must sit down and look at it that, look, what is causing this problem? What can we do to address it? Because, look, Nigeria, even in this country, and migration is good for the economy. Yes. It helps the prosperity. It even helps peaceful coexistence. Yes. Because if you are sitting here, and you are from Bulgaria, I'm from Nigeria, the man next door is from Iran. That can help to erase prejudice because we will be interacting with each other. Yes. And with that, it can erase so many things that some of them have been in existence for years. So government needs to sit down and address this issue. And the problem we even have in Nigeria, look, if you look at Nigeria Immigration Act, it's just about 55 pages. And for a country of 250 million. And you know what happened some years ago during the Obasanjo regime, where the CNN reporter came to Nigeria, and within 30 minutes or 1 hour of landing in Nigeria, he managed to get a Nigerian passport. Now, yes, that led to a lot of problems because some of the officers were sacked and later they were readmitted. Now, that is an issue which we need to address. Look, this idea of setting up passport office in an estate where people go around the corner and they get it. If I join the immigration service today in Nigeria, I would like to work at the passport office or the airport because most of the officers are passport merchants themselves. We need to ask ourselves, how long are we going to go on for? Because Nigeria doesn't have this nationality act. If anybody come now and say Magana, we will assume he's from the north. We give him
Let me bring you another matter on the issue now. I know you've talked about we need to also look in country to determine what is the issue that is making our people migrate to other, even though we're not against that kind of movement, because again, you mentioned that it boosts economy. But as somebody who plays around this sector, if I go to another country, there are laws, there are rules in that country. Speak to the issues that I need to observe in that country so that I don't infringe on their law to bring about such a matter to ask me to be deported. What should Nigerians exactly? What should Nigerians do in Ghana so that these kinds of matters don't arise?
You see, every country has the right to control the entry of aliens into their territory under international law. And if you want to migrate from your country to another country, first of all, you need to have it at the at the back of your mind that, look, what you do in your country might be unlawful in another country. Now, let's look at it this way. In some countries, adultery is a criminal offense.
That's right.
In another country, it's just a grant for divorce. Okay? Now, are you getting me? Now, once you go into that country, you need, first of all, and know that this country has a law. We must respect that law. We must abide by it. What you do in your country, you can't just bring it here. Because if you do, it may be a criminal offense. And also, it is a good idea for our Ministry of Foreign Affairs or what have you to educate our citizens before they migrate and let them know. Because, look, I'm telling you this. Nigerians are, if you go to prison in UK, the number of Nigerians there, you will be surprised. Because some of them just think, okay, if I come here, a Nigerian lady was recently convicted for abusing an elderly person. And that was in the news all over the place. You see, you can't do that. Because once you continue that way, you are going to be in problem. If everybody wants to work in a care home, that's fine. But you need to that, look, there's a CCTV. You need to know that, look, there are vulnerable adults legislation which makes sure that you don't abuse this sort of people. And you know, because what you are doing in your country, if you bring it there, you will go to prison. That's the nut and both of it. And Nigerians are in Ghana. If you are, look, we are talking about some bad apples here now. Not all of them. Some of them have a shop. Some of them are contributing meaningfully to the economic development of that country. But you don't paint everybody with one brush and say all Nigerians must leave. We can't do that. And we too need to come home and look at our system critically. Because you see, if you have a porous border, every other person can come in. And this Ministry of Interior, you know, they need to sit up. I must be sincere. You need a minister for migration and border security separately who can man the border and make sure people are not just coming in, do what they like and leave our country. So
the immigration is not doing enough?
You mean presently?
Presently, yeah.
Well, majority of them, where are they? They are the passport office. And issuing a passport is not the job of immigration officer. It's an administrative task because you fill the form, you give it to somebody, they conduct security check, issue you the passport. But if the passport gets abused by somebody who is not entitled to it, that's when immigration officer comes in.
Okay. I have two questions I'd like to quickly ask. You mentioned ECOWAS treaty, and I am wondering if it is high time we revisit and reform that treaty to reflect the socio-economic realities of countries, West African countries as it is, because of these issues. Now, that's on the one hand. On the second hand is, how can both governments address this growing xenophobic narrative? Yeah, well,
let me ask the second one. If you listen to the minister in Ghana, you listen to the minister in Nigeria, I think both of them are saying, look, there is no issue here. They are trying to calm the situation. That's fine. But it goes beyond that. By now, when we expect one of the ministers to jump in the plane and go to Ghana, have a roundtable discussion and say, look, what is causing this problem? What are the concerns? Look, let's be realistic. There will be a lot of issues there. No doubt about that. That, look, how do we address the problem? So that joint thinking can help to address the problem. Regarding the treaty was even ratified in 1993. Now, if we want to sit down again and look at the treaty again, there is nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, most of these issues have already been addressed in the treaty already, that you should make sure that, look, you don't discriminate. You should make sure that even in terms of the economy and what have you, you understand me? But if there is any country who is, when the United Kingdom was saying, look, this European legislation is causing all sorts of issues, we had Brexit, I mean, so that they can leave. If you want to leave, look, even the ECOWAS you are talking about, I think about three countries left said that we don't want to be part of the ECOWAS. So there is the need, maybe we should have a migration summit to look at whether that treaty is adequate enough or whether it's inadequate in certain respect, so that we address the issue and move forward.
I'm looking at a situation where in the nearest future we don't have things like this reoccurring. If you were Minister of Interior, how would you work towards that? Ghana, Nigeria, we are just too close.
That's right.
You know, it doesn't sound well that this thing is happening between Ghana and Nigeria, and there is need to come up with solutions that are permanent, so to say, even though that will be a tall order, but solutions that will last for a very long time. What would you advise the Honorable Minister to do, and what kind of support do you expect the Nigerian government to give that ministry to achieve that?
Number one, the first starting point is this. You see, Nigerians are facing a lot of issues here and there. Even, let's leave the Ghana issue. Even going to the embassy or the High Commission to get a visa. If you see the way some of them are being treated, and some are even being shortchanged, you cannot even believe, because either some of them don't even know where to go. You can even take of an instance. Just a few last week, they made an allegation refusing a woman a visa, saying that you didn't say your father lives in the UK. And the father doesn't even know Muritala Mohammed Airport. And you see, you can't make such allegation. And now, she now reapplied, they now refuse her. luckily enough, I got involved. I said, look, you have to refund the money because number one, and I apologized to her. Just yesterday or so, they refunded the money and we are now fighting for compensation. You see, so our government needs to try as much as possible to find a way to help citizens and make sure that even in the process of trying to migrate, there is value for money. People are paying substantial amount of money in order to get a visa, in order to move to a country. Yes, and at the same time, if you look at the decision, they don't even look at their document.
No, they don't.
They don't.
They don't.
And the majority of cases, they are wrongly refused. Now, these people, if I'm the minister, according to you, I will set up a department who will help our citizens in this sort of situation. And, you know, I must be sincere. I have attended so many courses with some of these immigration officers. And one of them during break was telling me that Nigeria, when we refuse them a visa, instead of challenging it, they just come back again, they come back again, then they come back again.
So there's need for mass education.
That is not good enough. And if I'm the minister with this situation in Ghana, by now I will be on my way to Ghana, or in the alternative, I will invite the minister in Ghana. You see, because there will be issues. How you address this is what matters.
Let me quickly ask you this, before we let you off this morning. She asked you a question of the treaty of that binds ECOWAS countries. From your perspective as a player in the sector, is there anything wrong with the current treaty we have?
No, I think the treaty is adequate. But don't forget we have an ECOWAS court as well.
Yes.
If citizens are being maltreated and it's against the treaty, the court is there to address this issue. But some of them, how many people can afford it? How many can go? That is why there's something they call the right of subrogation, whereby if you have issue with another car now, the insurance company step into your shoe, okay, under the rule of subrogation. That's why our government can step in and say, look, the way you are treating our citizens is not good. But if you don't, we too, we will come up with that will be the last resort, with a legislative framework which will affect your citizen. And that will not be in the interest of both countries. Anybody. And that will even be against the ECOWAS treaty.
Indeed. All right. Yeah. And it's a fine place to leave the conversation. Olufemi, I know, UK immigration lawyer or solicitor, thank you so much for your time on the program.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.